You were expecting Afrochete? Hey guys, Ace of Bats here, representing Ace of Vegas. Wanted to go ahead and thank the guys at Team FDK for letting me hijack their channel for a day and dust off the old Dark Magician deck. I really do enjoy this deck. It's a fun deck to play. It's a throwback to the old school, and you get to be really sneaky, just like, that was always my favorite part of YuGiOh, how sneaky you could be, setting your traps and tricking your opponent. Made me feel really good. It's going to be a little different than your average Dark Magician deck profile, but I promise you're not going to get Silent Magician shenanigans or any Dark Flare Knights in it. It's not going to be that type of deck profile, but it'll be a little different. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Before we do, though, I have a favor to ask you, so I need you to go ahead and like the video here. I think we can get at least 30 likes on this video. Can we get 30 likes for our guys here at Team FDK? There are 900 subscribers. We can get a bare minimum of 30 likes here. So let's do that first before we get into the video. Okay, so that being said, let's also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel here. Make sure you're entering the giveaway, and check out the Patreon when you get a chance. It really helps the channel grow, and it also helps Team FDK put some more work into the deck profiles, get all the best cards that you guys need, get some good recording equipment, get some good editing software so they can keep bringing you this excellent content that they do. Then when you get a chance, feel free to go ahead and drop by my channel, Ace of Vegas over here. We do some gaming too, you know, card games, and we also do slot games and things like that. And oh, I don't know, we get you free Vegas vacations. So for those of you 21 and up, feel free to drop on by. But enough about that, enough self-promotion. Let's go ahead and get to the part that you want, the actual deck profile. Hit it. I always start with the monster lineup, and I think we're going to start off with not one, not two, not three, but we're going to start with 5 copies of the Dark Magician. So 3 of them are going to be the standard Dark Magician. We're also going to have Dark Magician of Chaos, because he's recurable and he's actually a great target for one of the traps later on. And then Palladium Oracle Mahad. Mahad's a bit of a gamble because if you open him, he's kind of dead in hand, but if you draw him through Allure of Darkness or Spellbook of Knowledge, Pot of Desires, what have you, you instantly get to summon him on the field, and he's a good body, makes for easy rank 7 plays, so that's always a good thing. We also play 1 copy of Magician of Dark Illusion, not my favorite of the new support cards, but it does the job, it's easy to get on. Next up, we're also going to be playing 4 copies of Dark Magician Girl, 1 of Standard Dark Magician Girl as a target for Timaeus, and then 3 Apprentice Illusion Magicians, mainly because the Apprentice Illusion Magician is Collude in the hand and she's Collude on the field. She also makes for some very easy link plays and also makes for a free Naruto when you can. More staples include Magician's Rod, 3 of those. It lets you search out whatever missing piece of your opening hand that you need to make the Magician back row combo. 1 copy of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. He searches for the Spellbook of Knowledge, Spellbook of Secrets, searches for any Spellbook card, and then you can use him as a target immediately for it. A nice thing about this particular deck is that everything in it is a Spellcaster, so that helps with the synergy there. Playing 2 copies of Effect Veiler. I know Effect Veiler is not the strongest hand trap. You can replace this with Droll and Lockbird if you have an option to, but we mainly want this because it is a level 1 Spellcaster tuner, and so it makes for a great target for Spellbook of Knowledge if you get into a tough spot, and it's also a quick tuner if you need it to, especially if you're looking to make some level 8 synchros there. For my favorite part of the deck, the Wind Witches, featuring the Winx Club. So we got 3 copies of Ice, 1 copy of Glass, and then 1 copy of Snow. That's all you really need. You can play 2 copies of Ice, but it reduces how often you open it by a full third there. And I just love to open her and start off with a Crystal Wing in 1 shot. It's outstanding. It really thins the deck out a little bit so you don't notice the extra cards. We're going to talk about 3 Dark Magical Circle. It functions as basically what's a Pot of Duality for you, on top of also letting you rearrange your cards and then being a banishing engine too. So this is a big part of the win condition, and it does a lot. You play 3 of these, no questions asked. I also recommend playing 3 to 4 spellbooks. I like to play 3, so 2 knowledge, 1 secrets to search out the knowledge, helps with the deck thinning, and then keeps the deck running fast. Also do 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. Most of the deck is dark. It can get a little cloggy with the Wind Witches every once in a while, but I think the extra speed is well worth it, especially if you're just ditching a Magician's Rod or a Dark Magician Girl. Then you have those 2 extra cards there. It also helps us dig a little deeper to get to the Eye of Timaeus. Yes, you guys were wondering about the janky ratios. You were wondering about the draw cards. This is why. Eye of Timaeus is a win condition onto itself, gets us into some pretty strong fusion monsters that otherwise we wouldn't very easily be able to get into. And last well, second to last, penultimate I should say, is 3 copies of Monster Reborn. So we have the classic Monster Reborn that works on everything. We have the Dark Magic Veil that works in the hand or in the graveyard to special summon a Dark Spellcaster monster. Doesn't reduce your battle phase or do anything else than force you to pay 1,000 life points. So I think it's actually a pretty good tech card. And then, of course, the Soul Charge. You pay for things, but that's how you build your indestructible board. And finally, the one-ofs. We have 1 Dark Magic attack for Rogue decks. We have 1 Dark Magic Inheritance to fix hands. And then, last but not least, 1 Illusion Magic, just so we can go ahead and get Dark Magicians to the hand to set up the requirements for the traps. Very simple. So where's the Yugi deck without the traps? 3 Magician Navigation. This also works really well in the graveyard to help disrupt your opponent's plays, and helps you get some good bodies on the board. It lets you make some rank 7 plays or rank 6 plays, depending on what else you have in your hand too. Very flexible. You can cut it down to 2. I like running it at 3 so I can get to it quickly. 3 copies of Eternal Soul. This is the linchpin of the deck here. This is going to keep your Dark Magician on the board. This is also going to keep your Dark Magician safe, and it's going to keep the rest of your cards pretty safe too, with another combo I'll teach you later. And then the anti-summon part of the engine, 1 Dark Renewal, 1 Solemn Warning. Dark Renewal is pretty nice because it actually, you can move one of your Dark Magicians off the board as soon as your opponent summons a monster too. You just kind of send them both to the graveyard. Unfortunately, it does target, but it doesn't destroy, so that does get around a couple card effects. And then you put Demock on the board, which allows you to recycle a spell card, which is pretty nice, and Solemn Warning is just Solemn Warning. Shouldn't have to explain that. Best 2,000 life points you can spend in the game. So, talking extra deck. 1 copy of Proxy Dragon, just because he's good at generic material. 1 copy of Great Flyover here. We do run a fairly strong wind engine, and it is nice to have the extra support for those monsters. 1 Cleafort Genius, because it is actually usable with another one of our rank 7 monsters, and it has some level of invulnerability. It can stun a few extra cards with its ability to negate effects, and I do like having that around just in case. And then, of course, Topological Bomber Dragon. This is actually one of the strongest Link monsters that we have in the deck over here. And what it does is it's able to board wipe pretty much every single turn when comboed with Eternal Soul. Nice thing about Eternal Soul, though, is it's going to protect your Dark Magicians on the field. So you can continuously summon them to Topological and wipe the board, you know, sometimes 2 or 3 times in a turn, depending on how well you're set up. The XCs are going to be as follows. Red Eyes Flare Metal, just to put some pressure on the board. It's the rank 7 Cowboy for game, and it really reduces your opponent's ability to move. 1 number 11 Big Eye. It's never a bad idea to steal a monster, especially if it's a Link monster and you want it to make some advantageous arrows. 1 copy of Naruto the Moral Leader. It's very easy to summon with Dark Magician Girl and her evolved counterparts there. It also reduces your opponent's ability to play spell and trap cards, which is very nice. And my favorite here, number 42, Galaxy Tomahawk. This is actually a card that you can use to make a Topological Bomber Dragon in 1 turn, and you can support it with Great Fly and Cleafort Genius because Tomahawk is a wind type, and so are the Battle Eagle tokens it generates. So you can actually make a pretty strong Link board just off that by itself, so that's why we have the Tomahawk in there. And if we're talking a little more flexibility, let's talk about the Synchro Engine here. So we have 1 Wind Witch Winterbell. This one's not really obligatory. I considered putting Ebon Illusion Magician instead. If you prefer that, feel free to. It's just Wind Witch Winterbell is just the level 7 that we go into. Has a nice little burn effect that goes with the other ones, but that's not really your linchpin of the deck, so it's not a big deal. Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. I almost always sink into this before I go to Crystal Wing because it does have the extra ability to negate a monster effect, and it's great to summon on Soul Charge, just so I have a little extra effect protection. Stardust Dragon, because your back row can be very, very vulnerable if you can't get into Dark Magician the Dragon Knight immediately, so this is a good alternative to keep your back row protected so you can keep your front row protected. And last, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. He protects, he attacks, and most importantly, he turns boss monsters into a snack. Nothing else to say. And now for the fusions here. You guys aren't going to like this, but there's a reason I do everything. So 1, Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, mainly because I leave Dark Magician Girl on there as a target, and also because it's monster spot removal, and I really didn't have any other monsters that are just good generic spot removal, so she's good there. And then 1 Dark Paladin, just because I found it's got a weird little niche against Sky Strikers, just because it holds it down. Now you have to assume that you're going to get into a Dark Magician first, you're also going to be able to fuse it with Tamaya's first, and then you're going to have discard fodder too. So a very, very rare niche, but when you do, it's a fun thing to do. And then last, we also have Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. This one's the main boss of the deck. 3,000 attack points. It becomes Dark Magician on the field, so it triggers your Dark Magician spell and trap cards, and it also protects your entire back row, not just the Magician cards, from being targeted or destroyed. So it really helps against those rogue dark magic attacks. If they ever bring back Harvey's Feather Duster, this guy is great. You can play him at a 2 of. If you're going to swap him out, I'd swap him out with the other Dark Magician Dragon Knight card over here. But I like having the girl in here too, just so we have a little bit of variety. Alright guys, and that is the deck profile. Thanks again to Afrochete and Jesse and Destiny Burn here at Team FTK for letting me do a little channel hijack today. It's been a little while since I've been able to do that, and they are, some of my favorite tubers to work with. Super cool guys in real life, and I really do enjoy working with them, so thanks again for that. When you guys get a chance, though, feel free to go ahead and drop on by to Ace of Vegas over here. We're doing a whole bunch of real fun sort of stuff, doing card counting and slot plays, that sort of thing, going to lots of big free events, getting you to Vegas for free too. So I know a lot of you guys on the channel aren't exactly 21 and up, but for those of you that are, hey, feel free to drop on by. We're always happy to have our Yugi bros around. But until then, Ace of Vegas is signing out. Happy spinning and strong hands.